Adios, amigos.
Welcome back, everyone, for our video game book club. We are starting a brand new game. We are doing Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, which is canonically the last game in the Metal Gear series, right, Christian?
Correct.
And also numerically the last one we're playing, apparently. So that's it. All right. Well, it's Christian's game, so I'm going to pass it over and let him talk about it.
Yeah. So, like Alex said, yes, this is the last game that we're going to be playing. And so, for all intents and purposes, outside of the random PSP spin-offs and the prequels and the prequel, I should say, this is it. You will have experienced Metal Gear in its entirety, as far as Kojima is concerned. There's the zombie survival game, but I don't actually think that does anything. Yeah. But yeah, so we played through the tutorial mission and then missions 1, 2, and 3. So that's what we're going to cover here today, and then we will finish it up next week. So, follow along if you want. But we open up here in a town in Africa, not unlike Metal Gear Solid 4, where, and we we get taken into like a limo, and there is a president, sort of prime minister, dude and his aide, and they are talking mostly just about just kind of chatting themselves up about how great everything's going and how all the new changes that they've been doing have been going over well, and they were like, but the prime minister ends up making a comment to somebody that's across the car from him, saying that he feels as though he's like, groups like yours, I used to view as opportunists and enablers of war, but you guys have trained our new army so well, and order has returned way sooner than expected. So maybe I was wrong about these private military companies, and this is where we get our first shot of Raiden in his new outfit. So he's dressed in a full suit, got some shades on, and he puts those down, and he's like, we prefer a private security provider. Most of Maverick contracts do focus on security. And I actually thought this was actually cool. Like, so you can still see, like, from in 4 when he got his new body, right? So he got like a regular human jaw and everything attached around him. You can still see like the lines and everything from like all the new body parts that he has gotten, which I thought was funny. But then he goes, Raiden immediately starts in the philosophizing right off the jump, where he's like, there's a saying that I like, one sword keeps another in the sheath. Sometimes the threat of violence alone is a deterrent. Sometimes by taking a life, others can be preserved. It's the code the samurai lived by. And the prime minister cuts in and is like, a soldier and a philosopher. You are full of surprises, Mr. Lightning Bolt. And so that little section right there, I was like, God, Raiden, no matter how cool you have become as far as like your actions and things that you can do, you are still such a dork.
Nerd.
Yeah, like, oh my God. Like, him and Snake both, but like, we talked about it way back when we played 4, but like, when Snake and Raiden are having their back and forth, and Snake's like, you were the lightning in that store when you were born, blah, 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 and Raiden's all in the bed, all fucked up, like, oh, like, you're like, dude, you guys are such dorks. Like, how are you guys being bigger dorks in a room in which that room is also housing Otacon? Like, that is insane. But so from here, the sort of caravan that we're in gets stopped in the road, and there's the soldiers like, hey, somebody's in front of us, blah, blah, blah. It's been stopped. And we get our first shot at one of, if not, I would argue, like one of the primary antagonists of the game. We don't know his name just yet. But I think obviously Preston's played this game before, so he knows, but you can take one look at this guy and see this guy seems pretty cool. And so he starts walking towards the caravan just by himself. He just has a samurai sword and he is just walking forward. And the guy basically tells him to get out of the way and goes to start. He's like, we're going to start shooting. And this character dashes forward, starts running, and cuts this dude in half clean, dodging all the bullets and everything from there. And from there, everybody starts to panic, and they're trying to get the prime minister out of there. So we meet some of the other characters here. So Courtney, who is on our side, she was in the front seat of one of these cars, and she updates Boris, who is another person on our team. And they're trying to figure out who this mercenary is, where he is he from one of the competitors, what's happening. And his order basically is, Boris says, just get the prime minister out of there. Just, get out as fast as you can. As that progresses, the caravan gets basically locked in between a bunch of the troops that the other guy had brought with him. And Raiden says, I'm getting out. I'll guard the prime minister. You guys, get out. And as soon as Raiden gets out of the car, he gets out of the limo and in one movement takes his suit off, and he has his old sort of, it's a mix of what his Metal Gear Solid 4 body looked like, but you can tell that it's set over top his new human body, right? So he's, I'm assuming it's so that he can still go home to Rose and his son and not look like a horrible monster. And so, but he does that, and then he opens up his briefcase, and his signature sword is waiting for him. And this is where we start to get our initial tutorial into the game here, right? So from here, we're all just doing it's just soldier fights in this little beginning part right here. So you get a little taste of the combat, and then from there, after you kill some of the soldiers, there's like a gate that you have to cut through. So you get through that, and then that's when we get our next cutscene, which is one of the other antagonists in the game shows up, and he has captured the prime minister, and is basically holding him over like the flipped over limousine. And he's getting ready to leave, and Raiden shows up and tells him to stop. And this guy is like, oh, so you're Jack. And he's like, Raiden says, what do you want with the prime minister? And he goes, I want him dead. Nothing personal, of course. Africa's just getting a little bit too peaceful. Business ain't been the same since they shut down SOP, a clean break from the war economy. Well, some of us like that economy. How's an honest warmonger supposed to make a living? And Raiden is like, and this is your answer. And the guy pulls out his sword and aims it sort of at the prime minister. And Raiden says, don't do it. And then this guy's like, don't worry, I won't. Not while he's still useful. And he goes, anyways, see ya. And then jumps off the building and leaves. And as soon as Raiden starts to try to run after him, what pops out of the water but a Metal Gear Ray, themed in red and black. So different look than we've seen from Metal Gear Ray before. But Boris, our leader, hops up over the codec, and he's like, you have to take that thing out now. Like, just get rid of that thing. And so my favorite thing about this game is the escalation so quickly, where the second tutorial that you get for combat is a Metal Gear Ray.
By the time I finished this section, I'm like, didn't I just finish chapter 1? Like, you tell me that all that was chapter 0, the tutorial? I'm like, holy shit, okay.
I know. Yeah, man. So, but yeah. So from here, it's just combat through, you're just making your way through this Metal Gear Ray fight, right? So there's a bunch of cool shit that Raiden does. He fucking spins it around and cuts one of its arms off. Later, as you keep going through, it comes back with its arm missing, and you keep fighting it, and it like throws you into a wall, and Raiden runs down it, dodging missiles and Ray like in the beam and shit, and cuts it straight in half, and that's where you get the title screen, you know, like of him cutting through it there, which is awesome. And he's actually, there's a point where you're using like, as you're running towards it, you end up using the missiles that it's shooting as like a staircase to like jump across the missiles to get to it, which is very fucking awesome.
Very anime.
Also, the soundtrack, it cannot be understood, but the soundtrack during all of these boss fights, but this one specifically, just sets the tone, I think, for the things that you get throughout this game, which is like up speed metal playing throughout the entire time that you're doing this.
I also love that like the jumping over the missiles just becomes like core game mechanic.
Yeah. So anytime you need to close the gap between you and an airborne thing, the game's just like, Raiden will run across missiles.
Just so you guys know, for those of you who aren't playing and like listen to us, like you have one button that's just called like ninja speed, right? So you can like run like normal ninja run, which like any obstacle you'll automatically jump over, things like that. When something like this happens, it's like press that button and press forward, and then all you do is just jump. It's really cool.
Yeah. So the next scene we get is the character who had captured the Prime Minister. He is surrounded by a bunch of soldiers, and they're basically like, give up. And he's like, yeah, see ya. And he does like a giant jump and lands on a train. And he's like, sayonara, and then fucking is leaving. What we see here is Raiden does a sick like Tokyo drift around a corner with his claw hands in the ground, and like spins himself around to like keep running, and ends up running up the side of a building to get on the same level as the train, and then jumps off and makes it onto the train. So from there, we're just chasing this character to try to keep up with him and the Prime Minister. And when we get there, the guy was like, too little, too late, hero. I won't be needing my little shield here any longer. And Raiden tells him to stop, and this guy ends up just turning his blade a little bit and cutting the underside of this guy's chin, like just to, and he goes, he leans into the Prime Minister and he's like, what about all the good things war has done for us? Why don't we ever hear speeches about that? Jobs, technology, a common purpose. And the Prime Minister is like, Raiden, forget me and just stop him. And the guy who had captured the Prime Minister is like, he goes, you ain't listening, and Raiden goes to like jump forward to stop, but the samurai from earlier is on there, and he goes, do you mind if I cut in, and like blocks Raiden and stops him. And then the other guy's like, all we're saying is give war a chance. And then he skewers the Prime Minister and throws him right off the side of the train. And from there, that guy leaves, and we get our first fight with the other samurai here. And straight up, we are just getting our ass beat. There is just nothing that you can do here. You're just getting smoked. And in the middle of it, this character is like, now, don't be shy. You walked right into it. Not good enough. And this is in between them clashing blows. And he's like, you're self-taught and not half bad. Still, your technique lacks something. And then he goes, now I see it. You deny your weapon its purpose. And he goes, it yearns to bathe in the blood of your enemies, but you hold it back. And then Raiden's like, no, my sword is a tool of justice. And right in that moment, this dude cuts his arm off, and Raiden says, shit, not again. Yeah. And then, which is just, obviously between everything that happened in 4 and all, like the amount of limbs that Raiden probably has went through is ridiculous. But Raiden is in bad shape, and right before this other guy's about to end the whole thing, Boris saves us he's on the other side of this. Like, we come out of the tunnel clearing, and Boris starts shooting and causing a distraction, and then we're able to get picked up, and get out of there, and. From there, that is the first tutorial mission, and we go right into mission number 1 here. So I guess I'll just stop here really quick. But how are you guys in this intro scene? How are you guys feeling?
Feeling good. Like I said, I've played this before, so I kind of got the idea. But it's been so long since I played it. So like a lot of story beats, I'm right above my head. So like I'm still kind of being new with it. But yeah, it feels incredible. Feels fantastic. I love me a good ninja run. I love me just jumping around, going through it. I'm finding also combos that they don't tell you, like just between the light and the heavy attack, and sometimes you can hold it, sometimes you can get just different types of attacks out of that. I'm like, that I thought was really cool. I'm like, okay, you don't need to say like, hey, unlock this attack or combo. It's like, no, you have those. You just got to figure out how they're done with what you get in there. You can get like different moves later on when we talk about upgrading. But as far as like, if I'm going to press like a hold on to heavy, so he keeps a foot out, and then the foot jabs. You don't get that out of a normal XX or YY combo. You have to kind of figure what out the button presses are.
They will, if you go to the VR missions, it will give you like move tutorials and stuff. But yes,
I'm sure. Yeah. Ain't nobody got time for that. Not while doing book club.
Ain't nobody.
But this is 1000% anime version of Metal Gear. Like Metal Gear can get anime, but this is like to the tens. Like the whole jumping on missiles as you get to the Metal Gear Ray, just like the crazy shit that happens. It's to the 11s when it comes to like being bombastic, and it's great. Soundtrack's great, looks still great. The only issue I had is that it wasn't wanting to play well with my PC. So when I first started up, like if you want to look at my screen here, like this window I got for Metal Gear Rising was about that. And then I'm like, okay, well, go into the settings. It has some like different resolutions. I'm like, okay, well, it's down for a low resolution. Let's put it up to like at least 1080. Put it up to that. It made it like a little bit bigger, but I'm like, okay, well, this is weird. Trying to figure out, doing Google searches, Steam community, Reddit, and stuff like that. People are saying, oh, use this program, use that program. I'm like, there's got to be a better way. I'm trying Steam Link. I'm trying to do all this kind of stuff. After I try Steam Link, I'm like, oh, wait, this is not going to work for me because how I want to play it. I want to play it in the living room. I wanted to play it on my TV is what I wanted to do. I wanted this big-ass action set piece to be on my TV. Which I finally was able to get because for some reason when I closed out of Steam Link, that just like put it like full screen but windowed mode on my other monitor. I'm like, okay, we're just going to go ahead and switch the HDMIs out, and I'm going to change the display for my TV because it's going to want to think it's 4K. So I just changed that back down to 1080, and it seemed to be working. We'll see if it works when I boot up next time, but yeah, I'll have to have you take a look into that, Christian, because I have no idea what was going on with that.
Yeah, that's so strange. Did you have any issues, Alex?
No.
Did you play it mostly on Steam Deck?
I played on Steam Deck.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I played on PC. I literally just went into display settings, tapped full screen, and then switched it to 1080.
So it has the Windows section where you can press the next over button. Every time I press that, like switch to like a different display type, crash the game every single time. Like just straight up, I press the button, close. Goes back to Steam, says, do you want to play this game? I'm like, fuck, I don't know what's going on. But luckily I got enough so that way I have a decent enough capture for the video game book club. But yeah, overall, enjoy it. Good tutorial.
Yeah, the tutorial is about what I played the last time I played this game. So that first mission. Yeah, so I was somewhat familiar with it. Yeah, man, it is your game, right? Like it's geared towards you. It is Metal Gear Solid, but a complete action game, and you can definitely like. As soon as I started playing, I was like, this. No,
of course, this is Christian's favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, it speaks right to him, right? It played really well. I'm interested to see where the story goes. I was telling Christian, like, I feel like this game's a little bit more chirpy. So we have like a lot of story given to us from the companions and stuff we meet throughout this game. But I didn't feel as though there was as much like direct cutscene story and stuff. And I don't know if that's good or bad. I just, an observation. It was more gameplay, less of the story piece that the other Metal Gears had. So it definitely feels like distinctly different from every other Metal Gear right out of the gate, which I think is going to be interesting when we get to the end of this. But I liked it. I liked it so far. It felt a little bit more open to me, and like the world and level design, meaning like
There's little things that you can go explore and look for and things. Yep.
Yeah, it felt a little bit more open in that, but it also felt a little bit more empty. And not necessarily in a bad way. It's just like the arenas, like when you were coming out of Metal Gear Solid and you're coming out of the jungle and other stuff, everything's like very tight and close and like there's trees and grass and stuff everywhere. But this is kind of like concrete roads, city. Like it's very wide spaces, which I guess you kind of need when you're playing an action game. But I don't know. Like I like it. I'm mixed on my feelings of like the immersiveness compared to the other one. So I'm interested to see where it goes by the end of this.
I think for the chirpiness part of it, I think is because in past Metal Gears, I think those games could be as chirpy or not chirpy as you wanted based on how often you use the codec, right? Whereas this one forces the codec conversations. You don't get you can call them. Like that does give you the option to call people on the codec, like in all the other games. If you're looking for hints and things, like it still functions the same way as the regular codec does, but a lot of the conversations on the codec are forced indie. Like they just throw them right in. Yeah.
So I'm excited to see where it goes from here.
But so then from here, we get mission 1, and it is so we get a little time thing, and it says a time skip. It's 3 weeks later. And we already can kind of see there's a ship. It's like we're flying in. It's like super low. Honestly, kind of similar to how Raiden was entering in during Metal Gear Solid 2 forever ago. Like, you know, right? So, but he's flying in. He's over the ocean. And it cuts in, and we get to see a look at Raiden's new upgrades. So he no longer has any of the Metal Gear Solid 4 look to him, and he's got a brand new style. And we get introduced to one of the other characters on our team, who Raiden calls Doctor, and it is spelled exactly how you think. Okay. So Dokdor.
Exactly how you think it is.
Yeah. But so he basically updates us, and they're talking about Raiden's new abilities here. And one of the things is that he goes, you constantly are going to be needing new fuel. And so to do that, you need to seize the nano repair units from their foes, which happen to be their spines. And then you crush those and then absorb them through your palms, and you're good to go. Full health restore. Yep. Every single time that you do that.
Every single time you rip the spine out of an enemy, just so we remember what we're doing.
Yep. Well, you have to cut them in half first, and then you reach in and get that.
Yes.
And he also, the doctor says that he would like us to get their left hands. And he's like, because all of the memory data for some of these cyborgs is stored in their left hands. All the combat data, is stored in their left hands. But it's so funny because he's like, so he goes... He's like, yes, enemy cyborgs should provide plenty of these electrolytes, and once you slice them open and extract their fluids. And Raiden goes, they're terrorists. I was planning on doing that anyway. To which the doctor goes, oh, and their left hands, if you please. To which Raiden goes, excuse me? As in, like, that's the part that he took objection to, like, not grabbing their spinal cords. He was like, but, you know, and so then we get the other character that is the counterpoint to Courtney here, and it is Kevin. Yeah. And he is going to be, those two, between Courtney and Kevin, are going to be our mission control for all of these.
Kind of seems like they're like placeholders for old Metal Gear guys. Like Boris is the Colonel, Heather is fucking Mei-Ling, and then you got Hunter or whoever it is for Kevin. I love Kevin. Kevin's my favorite out of all these. Yeah, Heather is like, you know, blonde white lady. She's a little bit unbuttoned for you too, because that's as Metal Gear does. And then you also have like Boris as the Colonel. But yeah, I love Kevin. Kevin's awesome.
Yeah. So he gives us a briefing basically on the mission here, and he just lets us know that our objectives are, of course, to enter the city, neutralize the terrorists, and restore the rightful government, or what's left of it. The president and most of the cabinet have been killed, and military order has been established. The terrorists brainjacked all of the high-ranking officers and their cyborgs, scattered the rank and file. So the few leaders who survived have no way of openly opposing the new regime, and that's why they called us in. And he was like, and Boris cuts in and says that all this has been kickstarted by Desperado Enforcement LLC, who was Nani's killers from the tutorial mission. And this is where we get introduced to the name of the samurai that beat us so badly, which is Jetstream Sam.
Mm-hmm.
And I should say because there was that moment in the beginning where I forgot during the tutorial mission, but one of the mechanics that we see from Jetstream Sam is that he has a trigger on his samurai sword that shoots it forward and like makes it come out very fast out of its sheath, which is what tricked Raiden into getting his arm chopped off in the first place. But yeah, so it's got a gun blade, essentially, Jetstream Sam.
Kojima, I don't know what it is about Kojima. He's never
I was gonna say,
been great with names, man. Like, I don't understand.
I was gonna say, so I was wondering, because like, you know, Press and I have played this before, but as soon as you had heard the name Jetstream Sam, I just thought,
roll my eyes.
Alex is gonna look at the screen and go, yep, okay, Kojima, just because of all of the games that we've played now up to this point. Because before that, you get lured into a false sense of security at first, because at first you meet Courtney, and then there's Boris, and you're like, okay, those are regular names for people, that's fine, right? And then in the beginning of this, you get Doctor, and you're like, well, that's not Kojima's best work as far as names are concerned, but it is goofy, right? Like, it is weird.
Yeah.
And then you get Kevin right after that, so you go, okay, maybe it's just the Doctor, like, maybe that's what it could be. And then, like, anyway, Jetstream Sam, and you're like, well, it is.
He does have a normal name. It's his, like, I'm badass android name, you know, it's like his moniker.
Well, yeah, his normal name's Sam, but I'm just saying, but Jetstream Sam still is like, you know, it's pretty much, that's a Kojima nickname.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a Kojima boss.
But yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So Kevin makes a bad joke here where he's like, you know, hey, keep an eye out for him. And then he's like, oh, because Raiden's eye got cut. Yeah. So, but that's where it cuts in, and we see that Raiden actually has like a bandana over it. So he did not elect to get a new cyborg eye. He's just got the one now. But this part here where Raiden gets out of the plane or is ejected from the plane and lands on the beach and has all the water and everything. This is how they revealed the game, like way back in the day with the E3. So that entrance for Raiden when the visor comes apart and the eye, that's what everybody saw that first time. And I remember the crowd reaction was bananas back then. But anyway, so he lands and we get right into it with some of the missions here. Now, did either of you find, right when you land on the beach here, the little Easter egg that's left over from the first reveal of this game?
Mm-mm.
A certain type of animal or anything?
No, I didn't know.
Oh, no, I don't think I paid attention. Yeah.
So, right on the beach, right before you run over the wall. So there's a thing, back in the early reveals of this game, Kojima showed off the ninja cat in this game. So it is an all-white cat that if you are anywhere near it, it will do backflip. It will always dodge over anything that is around it. So like the way they showed this off is because they were showing the blade mode. It was just a tech demo at the time. But it was showing Raiden chopping up watermelons in like a bunch of different ways, right? And they were like, however, you know, you're not going to be able to chop everything, you know, that kind of thing. And it cuts to this cat, and everybody was like, you know, wait, don't do this. And then is it like, you know, that kind of thing. But then it does, and the cat like slow-mo backflips over the sword and will do it. And if in other scenes, in this particular part of this playthrough too, in other scenes, the cat is seen throughout random points. So if you guys
find it, yeah.
The boss fight that ended mission 3, which we'll get to, it was also there. If you guys ended up missing it, I don't know if you
did. Yeah,
if you guys saw it there, but yeah, it's also there.
Okay.
So continue, just like in all the other Metal Gear games, Kojima's cutscene shenanigans continue. But that is there. Yeah, so I just didn't. It's just a tiny little thing, but just in case I didn't know if you guys got it. But yeah, so from here we really just like it's mostly fighting people. There's little bits of, back and forth between Ryan and some of the crew here, but it's mostly just fighting guys and getting extra tutorial mechanics here with the parry system. So how the parry works in this game is, well, it depends. I guess I should say, are you guys playing on normal or easy?
Normal.
Okay. So on easy, any deflect that you do, it will do it's just automatic full parry. It just gives it to you.
Yeah.
In normal mode, you have to get the timing right. Otherwise, it will just come out as a normal block. But the mistake that it still happens to me sometimes, but is a flick of the left stick and then pressing the button at the same time. If you notice that you're getting like hit by certain things that you're like, I'm doing what's supposed to be the thing, it's because if you hold the stick forward and try to do it, it will just come out as like a regular attack and sometimes screw you over. So it's a flick forward with the light attack button press to get the block or the parry to come out. Like I said, on easy mode, you don't run into it. It's just an automatic. It will just give you the full parry. But yeah, so we get all the way to the middle of this town, and we hear a voice say, "Greetings, Cyborg," and Raiden jumps back and says, "Show yourself." And right before Raiden gets his sword ready, he's attacked with like a saw blade, basically, that comes off of like a whip. And we are introduced to Blade Wolf. Which again, just right on the nose there with that name. But we have this, so he is, so Raiden ends up getting into like another philosophical battle with this AI here, where he basically was like, Blade Wolf says, "I'm an interface prototype, all autonomous. UGs feature high level onboard artificial intelligence. An additional prototype interface that I have enables verbal communication. I possess an intellect far beyond a human reckoning." And Raiden goes, "You don't say. Okay, then what's the meaning of life? Why are we here?" And he throws red hot knives at Raiden, and he goes, "I am here to kill you." At which Raiden goes, "That's it? Pretty simple thinking for such a mighty intellect." And Blade Wolf was like, "Well, I may analyze orders, but I may not disobey them. Should I disobey a direct order, my memory would be wiped. So and then he goes, I must destroy you." And Raiden goes, "What good is an intellect if you can't use it?" And Blade Wolf goes, "Your taunting is pointless," and then just jumps forward. And we get into this fight. So this fight is basically a tutorial. It's not really a tutorial, but it's a check on if you understand the parry system or not, because some of Blade Wolf's attacks come out a lot faster, or have like weird timings to them, and it's basically giving a hard check of being like, do you get this system, or are you about to get hit a bunch during this fight? And that's really what this serves down to. And at the end, Raiden chops him up into a bunch of little pieces when you win and get him into when you do the blade mode. And from there, he's like, Blade Wolf dies, and this is where the setup happens for all of our boss fights, where after we get a little codec, honestly similar to all of the Metal Gear games, where we get one little mouth off, left from whatever bad guy we just beat. Blade Wolf basically was like, "You're gonna die, I'll obliterate your consciousness, I feel no pain," re-engaging, and then he's like, "I cannot continue," and then he dies. Then he goes, directive. He's like, "Liberate nation, ensure freedom, obey directive, must obey directive, no freedom, freedom undefined." And then he dies. And Raiden goes, "What would an AI know about freedom?" And that was his little walk-off line. Still, again, just a massive dork. So then from there, we are making our way through the rest of the city to try to catch up to get towards the end of the area here. We have like a little bit where we are trying to get the leading warmonger that Kevin talks about in the beginning. And as we make our way through, we actually see them. We see Dolzdayev on one of like these little containers, like a I don't even know what to call it, it's like a giant silo that he's sitting like out on the ground basically, or on the top there, and he's standing next to who is clearly a Metal Gear villain. Like you could not. It was honestly like I know Preston has seen these memes because we send them to each other a lot, but it's like a bit from JoJo where it's like the enemy stand user could be anybody, and there's just like a bunch of regular ass people, and then one person who's like clearly like the most flamboyant person, posing and all this other stuff, and you're like, I don't know who it could be. And so it's similar to this, where like you see Dolzaev talking to somebody, and then it cuts over to this woman who's like just so clearly in Metal Gear boss armor,
styles, like colorful, like hoodie looking thing on. You don't get to see her face at the first. It's like he's like yelling at her. I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be something important. They put a lot of time into that design. Yeah, she's not just average.
And
lady.
So Dolzaev is yelling at her, and he pulls a gun out on her, and he says something, and Raiden is like, that woman, and he like zooms in, he's like trying to, it's like his eye is like basically running scans trying to figure out who it is, and then she turns around and notices him after Dolzaev walks away, and she blows a kiss at him, and Raiden like flips back basically and like pulls his blade out and like is like in like a guarding stance, and the doctor's like, what's happening, your heart rate spiked, and he like throws the thing, like the codec away. And he's like, yeah, I just dodged a bullet. And he's like, okay, I'm heading for the refinery now. And then from there, we just are continuing to make our way into this refinery so that we can get over there. And it's mostly just a bunch of fighting all the way up until we get to the top of the refinery, where we find this woman, and she's like, I was wondering when you'd come, Jack the Ripper, which, if we remember, that was his nickname from back when he was a child soldier, way back in the day. And he's like, no one calls me that anymore. Where is Dolzaev? And she's like, I can show you a better time than that crusty old bear. And he goes, are you in charge here? And she's like, I'm Mistral, the cold wind of France, and your reputation precedes you, Liberian, but white as snow, a natural born killer, even as a child. And Raiden's like, that was a long time ago. She's like, I was born in Algeria myself, I'm only half French. And I actually love that Raiden responds the way that he does, because I felt the same way when it was like she's talking like this, and he's like, and? Is it just like,
so?
Yeah, so? Like, what does this have to do with anything? But she's like, well, we had our own civil war in the 90s, so we're basically, you and I are cut from the same cloth. Raiden's like, you do not know me. And from there, she goes into her normal Metal Gear villain speech about, her origin story, about how her whole family was killed, and she went and killed the killers, and then she found out she's really good at it, so then people hired her, blah, blah, blah. And
she was a reject from the
there,
last game.
Huh?
She was a reject from the last game. They're like, oh, it's one too many females with honestly, bad backstories. Gotta cut it.
Yeah, but she's like, I was just doing this all the way up until I met him, and then Raiden's like, who? And she's like, she ignores that, and then she's like, but I know what I've been missing this whole time. His ideals gave my life meaning. And she's like, Jack, what are yours? And then he's like, I protect the weak. She's like, yeah, that's naive. And then she picks up like one of the robots and like rips off its arms, and then puts like a little knife in it, connects them together, and then all of the other robots basically die and like rip their own arms off and put them all like in the little slots like that are like lining up her back basically. So she's got like, 9, 10 arms, whatever it is now.
Okay. You know what? I saw this scene. She like rips all those arms off and like puts them on her back. She comes up like she's like Dr. Octopus or whatever, and I'm just like, you know what? Smash.
Oh yeah. I mean, but before you got the arms in there, I was already down. And catch that little kiss that she gave me from a smooch from far away. I wouldn't have been bouncing back like that, ready to parry it. I would like, God damn, I'm hold on to that for later.
Anyways, so the fight happens, and we go through this battle. So it's really just, again, sort of similar-ish to I think it's like the next step up from the Blade Wolf fight. Like this is actually your first true boss fight, in my opinion. So she's got tons of different mechanics. The most annoying one of which is she will summon an endless. There will always be 5 of those little arm robots from the other games, from 4, I should say. And so she will always have those just like in the room waiting to go, which is always fucking annoying. Because there's sometimes there was a couple times where I got like a perfect parry, and I was like, all right, and then here comes the combo, and then one of those little things would jump on your and you have to wiggle the stick and get it off you, and I was like, dude, fuck this, like this. But yes, so you had that fight, and as she dies, Dolzaev is trying to call her over the radio, and he's like, Mr. Report, your vitals are dropping. And she was like, oh, I finally lost, so this is how all of the people that I killed felt, dying for a cause. And he's like, wait, Dolzaev, they're going back and forth, like, please don't, blah, blah, blah. Clearly, she ends up coming out, they were in love, it was a whole thing. And Raiden, as she's, like, talking, Raiden picks up the radio, and she's like, he goes, she's not talking to you, idiot, like, isn't over to him. And he's like, you killed her, you asshole, murderer, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, that's rich coming from you. It's over for you. Surrender. And this is as he's walking up one of the refinery steps, basically. And he's like, he's like, that shows how much you know. And he goes, this is built with Russia money to make Russia money. It's no plant. It's their prison. But now everybody will be free. And then he presses a button and blows the whole thing up, sends Raiden flying backwards. And Raiden actually calls him a crazy son of a bitch. And then that is it. We're told to come back. Boris tells us to come back to the facility. And that is mission 1 in the books. Was there anything particular between the Blade Wolf fight or Mistral that you guys wanted to, or we can just keep going?
Yeah, not really.
No, the weapon you get from her is dope.
Yeah, I haven't messed around with it yet. I bought all the weapons at the end of this for part 1, but I had a little more hard time with the Blade Wolf, just because I'm learning more about combat with some of these bosses and variances. But once I got to her, I just felt a lot easier because I kind of knew how to deal with bosses a little more now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I assumed that this might have been one of Alex's favorite cutscenes in the game so far for mission 2 here. So we get a Raiden is driving a what looks to be like a black Lamborghini, basically.
Yeah.
Kevin comes over the codec and he's like, so you have some kind of disguise lined up, right? And Ryan's like, yep, all set. And he goes, okay, I hope so, because you'd be a little conspicuous just walking the streets. Which Ryan's like, relax, Kev, I'll blend right in. And it cuts out into the car, and it's Raiden wearing a poncho and a sombrero.
They're deploying sombrero, in Mexico. By the way, it's massive. Huh? The Huge. Biggest sombrero, yeah.
Yeah. And to which Raiden was like, oh, and then Kevin goes, yeah. Kevin sees this, and he goes, yeah. And he's like, well, just get into the sewer system as soon as you can. Hopefully anyone who notices you will just mind their own business. And he goes, you sure that you want K9000 there for this one? And Ryan's like, yeah, I had the good doctor make some good adjustments along with the repairs. Remote piloting and AI wiping have been disabled. So I say, yeah, let's throw him a bone. Which Blade Wolf's head pops up in the background, and he's like, wordplay. My exoskeleton resembles a canine. Canines enjoy bones. Amusing on 2 levels. In which Ryan's like, okay, he says, let's go. And this scene, I still, to this day, this is one of the funniest scenes in this game, where Raiden gets out of the car, and the car he stands over. Blade Wolf does a big puppy stretch before getting out of the car, right? Hops out, and there is 2 guys who they're speaking Spanish, but we get the subtitles of what they're saying, and he's like, who is that guy? And then he's like, a mariachi player? No. A cyborg? He goes, what's with that hat? And then this is as Raiden's climbing down to the sewers, and he takes his sombrero off and puts it forward and throws it. He's like, adios, amigos. And then jumps down, to which the other guy was like, or one of the guys goes, did you see that? And he goes, what a freak. Let's just forget everything we saw and get out of here. And then they leave. And it's just that whole bit is so that
they're
to
like,
me,
should we call somebody? And they're like, no, that's got to be trope. Like, let's just ignore it.
Yeah.
Act like we never saw it. Let's go.
And that scene to me, I think when there's people who are always they're like, oh, is Metal Gear Rising, like, is it actually a Metal Gear game or whatever? And that scene right there, I think, absolutely, so it's like, yeah, no, this is for sure a Metal Gear game. Like that, if you were ever,
Go
ahead.
I was gonna say it helps my defense of it being an anime because this just reminds me of the old dudes in Cowboy Bebop that you would see, or the old dudes in Trigun who are sitting at the bar while shit's going down around them. It's the old guys who always pop up in the episodes. They're just hanging out. Yeah.
But just I just mean the humor in general, right? Of like Raiden being like, yeah, I'm totally in a disguise right now, and then it's just like a sombrero and a poncho. Oh, it's so good. Anyway, so our whole bit here though is that we are Kevin lets us know as soon as we get in the system or in the sewer system, and he's like, your mission is to investigate the Desperado affiliated research center somewhere in that area. According to the intel from our client, the lab's been dumping illegal waste into those sewers. And he goes, FYI, they're also involved with the cartels and human trafficking, allegedly anyway. And he goes, we need you to infiltrate the lab and find out everything you can. And of course, you'll have to find it first. We still don't know the exact location. And he goes, Raiden is like, so I'm looking for anywhere the lab might hook up with the sewers. And he goes, yeah, if they're actually dumping waste, they've got to link up somehow, find that connection, sneak into the lab, and see if you can find any evidence implicating them on anything. And so Raiden asks, right before we start leaving, he's like, well, do we have any idea of the kind of research they're doing here? And it's like, not really, maybe something related to all the people that they're trafficking. And Raiden's like experimentation? Kevin's like, it's possible. First things first, though, we need to find a way into that lab. And he goes, oh, right. It says here the locals say that crocodiles live in those sewers, so watch out. And then Raiden is like, do you think they could be talking about UGs, like any of the unmanned robots, basically? And Kevin's like, maybe it could just be an urban legend, but just keep an eye out. And then Blade Wolf, this is kind of the mechanic that will happen with Blade Wolf for the rest of our missions, is that he goes, I'm gonna scout ahead, I'll talk at you later, and then he becomes kind of the person that chirps at us to let us know what enemies are going to be ahead. And from there, it's just a bunch of fighting, all the way until Blade Wolf spots a boy in the sewers and says, hey, there's somebody up ahead that's being attacked. And Raiden catches up with him, and this is a character who gets introduced. We find out his name is George, but he has like an IV line that's like ripped off him that's still hooked into his arm. He's like all bandaged up. He is getting attacked, and so we kill the things that were attacking him, and then we get an intro from him. But this was the character George that Alex was very upset by, enough to message us about it and say, you said you were worried. What was it that you're worried that you're going to be put on a list for listening to this character?
It's just a little racist. It just seemed a little
Misa Jar Jar Binks happening maybe in this dialogue.
It was a little Waka, a little Jar Jar. There's a lot going on there. It's all like, I can't quite put where you're supposed to be from. Like, I can't quite put my finger on it, but I don't know how it's racist, but it definitely is. You know what I mean?
So I meant to look this up and see who the voice actor. I'm actually gonna look it up right now. Hold on. This man is from Canada. So.
Yep.
Yep. People immigrate from all over the place. It's fine.
That's true.
Does he look more like a snowflake? Like is he?
No. He is the appropriate. Okay. No, he is not white.
Okay, then he gets a pass. When you said Canada, I was worried.
No. But so what's funny is so there's like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that he has any. Because the place that this guy is from, like Ganya or whatever, is a real place. So I don't know if this guy has any connection to that place whatsoever, but either way. But yes, so it's so funny. This kid, the way that he talks, they will automatically do subtitles for him, but like in parentheses right next to being like, this is what he's saying. So for an example,
but they're phonetic.
I will not be reading these, by the way.
They're like phonetic, like
yes,
subtitles. So I'm trying to read through it. I'm like, I can't even really
phonetic
read
with
this.
with
yeah. And so like one of them was, so like one of the lines he says is, me named George, like Georgia town, and then in parentheses it says, my name's George, like Georgetown, and it's like we didn't
get it. That's okay.
Yeah.
Is it what's his name? Is it Namani?
George.
No, George. Namani is the prime minister that gets smoked to the tutorial.
Oh, okay.
He got
George. Okay. Because I was saying, I don't recognize him. Although he has acting credits. He
does.
He's Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, Turning Red. So he has both video game and actual like movie trolls and stuff, like movie stuff. So okay.
But like I said, I will not be reading George's dialogue. It's just not. It simply will not be happening. But what George lets us know is that Desperado has a bunch of kids like him, and they are all captured in there. And he tried to convince them to run with him, but none of them did, so he was the only one that escaped. But he said they're doing all sorts of kind of tests and different things, and they're trying to... he doesn't know what is happening in there, but he knows it's not good and that kids get disappeared, they don't come back. And so he was like, I was getting out of here, and he basically he makes a comment to Raiden where he was like, I wish that I was a cool cyborg like you so that I could go back and just like chop all of them up. And Raiden's like, well, that he's like, you're kind of sounding like a bad guy yourself, and he's like, well, I mean, I would never do it, but like it'd be cool if I could, kind of thing. And it was like, okay, I don't know why you're getting into a philosophy argument with this child, Raiden. Like,
the child.
He escaped a situation. It's similar. It's funny because I'm like, Raiden, he even comments on it later, but he's like, I'm like, you should see the situation. Like, you were captured as a child and then turned into a child soldier and had this whole thing. Mm-hmm. So you can understand why a child who got captured would immediately be like, I wish I could do to my captors what is happening to me, right? You know what I mean? Like, oh, you of all people should get that. But he's like, well, but violence is wrong, child. Anyway, watch me do sick ninja turns on this dude's spine. Like, you're just like, but, whatever. Anyway, so Raiden is like, he gets that, and he's like, okay, we need to go and get in there. So he gets pointed the way through Blade Wolf and through George's directions. He basically leaves George there and says, hey, somebody from my team is going to come get you, so just hang out here. And from there, we make our way into the facility here. And as we get into the facility, we start seeing that George was right, and that they are, as they take these kids in and then do this, they are harvesting all the different organs from these kids and then turning them into, he believes that they're turning them into cyborgs at this point. But then Raiden, we come into this room basically as soon as we break into the facility, and it is just walls of brains that are sitting in jars with their eyeballs, and like all the eyes like turn and look to Raiden, and it's like very terrifying. What'd you say, Alex?
I was eyes as well, like brains and eyes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Really weird. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
And so they're like, so Raiden is like, Jesus, are they making these kids into cyborgs? And Kevin ends up cutting in. He's like, wait, the cyborgs you've been fighting, do they seem like they might be kids? Like you said earlier that child soldiers have telltale approach to combat. And Raiden was like, yeah, but I didn't see that here. Like the ones I've been fighting aren't kids. And so he's like, so then does that mean that Desperado is just doing the surgeries there? And he's like, well, we've got to do something about all these brains and all the other kids that George was talking about. He just escaped a few hours ago. They couldn't have taken all their brains out that fast. And so he's like, true, there could be a bunch of kids that they haven't actually like got to yet. So then Ryan's like, okay, then I need to move. And so they as he starts to make their way, this is where we actually end up getting some extra lore here. So we make our way down like through some of these other hallways, and we get to this place where we can patch in, and the doctor lets us know that he actually got some security like image data from one of the cyborgs that we got, and he says that it's going to give some more insight into everything that is happening in this facility. So it gets it to us, and we find out that one of the guy that we saw earlier that killed Imani in the intro, his name is Sundowner. So that is the other guy. So with the crazy scissors sword, his name is Baldy. Sundowner. Baldy. Yep, that's sure. Yep. And so he goes, so then send us what you do have. We have already commenced VR training. And scientist goes, the Sears program. And he goes, yep, same one old Georgie boy used on the kids in Liberia. Of course, this one's wired straight to their brain, so it feels as real as anything else. And the scientist is like, okay, well, he goes, this work is amazing. And Sundowner's like, and your work is late. We need to ship before our cover is blown. We've got some assholes snooping around. And the scientist is like, well, we don't have the full quantity yet. Each brain has its own unique requirements. It's not like we can just pop them out with an ice cream scoop. And next to Sundowner is a guy who's like wearing glasses and like, but he's like standing with his back behind the camera. And he goes, okay, the man is like, all right, you've made your point. And the scientist is like, thank you for understanding. Send what you have now, and then he goes, and destroy any unharvested inventory. And the scientist goes, but have you any idea what they cost? And the guy responds, but last I checked, vagrant children weren't exactly a rare in this part of the world. Millions of them, in fact. You can get more once we've set up the new lab. They lead lives of hunger and pain, and we're performing a service here for them and the cities they burden. Woof.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Said yeah.
Yeah. And so he goes, the scientist responds, he's like, well, just gathering the donors requires a significant amount of investment. And he goes, yes, you'll get the money. Accounting will be in touch. And he goes, okay, well, then I assure you that we will dispose of our inventory the instant we can confirm payment. And the man goes, okay, are we done here? Because I've got a full slate today. Tecumseh is a demanding mistress, and America has suffered long enough. And he goes, yes, sir, thank you. Let me see you out. And then it ends. And from there, Raiden and them are going back and forth. But he's like, Raiden says there must be more than what I just found here. What about the VIP in the suit? And Kevin's like, I'll find out. He definitely seemed familiar. And then Courtney cuts in and it's like, bad news, Raiden, we can't find George. And Raiden's like, what do you mean? And she's like, maybe the coordinates you sent were off. And he's like, no, I merged he basically like, no, it's not possible. And she goes, do you think that they found him? Like they ended up capturing him, bringing him back in. And she's like, I don't know. I'll have our guys sweep the area. And he goes, okay, I got to keep moving. And from there we get what is like our first like mini boss in this level, which is like a tiny, like, it's kind of like it's like a Metal Gear Rex, but more square. But it's like this giant man to sort of like that's like blocking the way, and we end up fighting that.
I always thought of it like a gecko with shields, essentially.
That's probably a better way to look at it, is like a gecko with shields. Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Because it just kind of jump around too, like the way it enters the stage.
Yeah. I mostly because it does like the slidey thing that Metal Gear Rex does, like it like boosts along the ground, like grinds around. But yes, it's kind of a mix of. It definitely is a gecko with shields. I think that's a good way to think about it. You'll also, for video listeners or video watchers, you'll see it in the footage right here.
Yes, it took me a hot second to get that all the way back past the hallway.
Oh, really? Yeah. So, because it depends on how this goes. Like, because you either have to sit there and like smash against it, or every single time that it doesn't attack, you can parry it and it'll just shove it back further.
I may not have done that. I may have just brute forced it. It's okay. It's all right.
Hey, man. Look,
got it done.
You can get through this game any way that you can get through this game. Doesn't matter. But Kevin, as we get through this and we kill the mini boss here, Kevin cuts in and lets us know that he has seen that guy before. It's Stephen Armstrong, as in Colorado Senator Stephen Armstrong. He goes, they're already talking about him as a shoo-in for the nomination in 2020. And get this, 2 years ago, a federal grand jury investigated his ties into a certain private PMC. And then Ryden cuts in as like World Marshal, one of the biggest PMCs out there. I remember it. And from there, he basically is like, so Marshall and now Desperado are tied together. And Ryden goes, that should make for some fun headlines. And Kevin's like, headlines? This is World Marshal and a U.S. Senator we're talking about. There won't be any headlines, even without the Patriots filter. No major media outlet will investigate allegations like these. It'd be financial and political suicide. And Ryden was like, so we just sit back as they keep carving up kids and stand aside while they build an army of cyborgs? He's like, you heard them. If we shut down one lab, they build another. They're planning something big. We can't just wait for it to happen. We need to hit them first and hit them hard where it counts. And Kevin's like, he's like trying to like argue with Ryden, but he's like, I know what you're thinking, and just no. And he's like, Colorado is in America, and in America has these things called laws. And Ryden's like, and then he's like, and law enforcement in Denver was privatized and farmed out to. And Kevin was like, Marshall, but yes, so what? He's like, there are still laws, and it's their headquarters, for Christ's sakes. You'd be heading right into the heart of a raging shitstorm. And Ryden was like, I didn't say it would be easy, but we'll figure this out later once the kids are safe. And then Kevin goes to say Jesus Christ, and Ryden basically hangs up on him. And from there, we get this final scene where we find out what's been happening is Ryden comes into the room where all the kids were, and then a gas starts leaking in. And right before he shatters the glass to break all the kids out, the scientist from before has George held hostage with a gun against his head. And the scientist basically is like, it's up to you, right? Like, you get to make a choice. You can either surrender right now and I'll let George go, or you can try to free the kids. But if you free the kids, I'm blowing George's brain out. And if you come near me, I'm also going to blow George's brain out, and those kids will die. So what are you going to do? The needs of the many versus the few, blah, blah. And George is like, my life isn't such a precious thing. I'm ready, but take this asshole out with me. And the scientist tells him to shut up, and Ryden starts laughing, like this weird sort of like menacing kind of like laugh. And he goes, that's all I needed to hear. And then all we see is Ryden dash forward and does like a giant slice, and blood goes everywhere. And that is where we end this mission, and we're leading into the final mission here. So I'll just keep going, and then we'll end here after this one. But Ryden is driving down a highway, and he's just like blasting through. It's just like going super fast. And there's a news reporter that's talking about how they're talking about conflicts going on in the Middle East, and different issues that are happening there. And George pops up on the screen, and he goes, "Yo, my ninja brother."
Does he say brother, or does he say brudda?
Well, he's reading the subtitle for you.
I'm reading.
He's not going to do it phonetically for you.
Our subtitles. That's what I'm
this
doing.
was the specific line where I rolled my eye. Yes, because I rolled my eyes at that. Preston, you actually sound more Jamaican than this guy does. Like, I don't know. I still don't know the accent he's going for.
Jamaican, but yeah.
Which by the way,
I don't think it's Jamaican. It's not, but yeah.
No. Which, by the way, this guy is a dual citizen. He was born in Toronto, and he lived in New York and went to the Yale School of Acting. So he probably shouldn't be doing these accents. But
I don't know. Maybe one of his parents is from Kenya. I don't know. It could be.
I don't know if you guys remember the early 2000s, but we were pretty loose with what kind of accents we were allowing ourselves to do with entertainment.
But I just want everybody to think back. Like what Preston just said was wrong. If you say what he said but put it in Waka's voice, that's what it was.
Kind of like higher pitch.
Yeah.
It's a little bit there.
Sure.
Yeah.
And there's different accents all over. You may not have heard every accent. This could be a real accent. We don't know. Okay.
I just laughed when that call came through.
I like that.
But the important part about this video call is that we see that half of George's body is now fully cybernetic. So he's got part of his chest is full cyborged out, and then he has a whole arm that's completely cyborged out, which means that Raiden cut through this child to
cut the other guy in half.
Scientist. And so he tried obviously to not harm as much as he could, but yeah, the whole like upper third was just toast. But it's this one of those things where you see Raiden sort of. I think this is the first foreshadowing that we get of Raiden sort of still wrestling with his identity post Metal Gear Solid 4 and figuring out, is he still, and it's obviously a theme throughout this game, but trying to separate himself or not from
family man, assassin,
his time in Liberia versus because I remember the first time I was playing this game, but I remember seeing that, I'm like, damn, he just, he chopped that child up. Like, that's just what happened. Like, I mean, he, whatever,
got
but like...
slice, all right. Just took a little off.
A little slice. Enough that so he's like...
He seems fine.
Raiden goes, George, good to see you up and about. How are you feeling? And George is like, never better. I don't have any more pain and no more starving. And I've never felt so awake, to which Raiden is like, that's because your blood sugar levels are being maintained automatically, beats the hell out of coffee. So enough of his body is missing that he is now having most bodily functions taken over by a cyborg.
Also, I like how this game is just like, the decisions were like starve to death on the street or get cut in half, which will fix all your problems. Like, that's your decision, right? A man comes up to you with a briefcase who's like, hey, you're going to die in the slums as a poor person, or... if you let me chop you in half and replace you with robot parts, you'll be okay. What would you choose? And it's like this weird moral conundrum where you're like, I don't know that's
so it's
better.
Not that he would get chopped in half, right? Because the promise for these kids at first is, we'll come in here, we'll take care of you, blah, blah. And then they just straight up kill them and put their brains in cyborg soldiers, right? After all that. For George... George, he was just... the way he tells the story is that he was just hanging out, and then he got captured and yanked and like then put on a boat with a bunch of other people, and then he was just going to get his brain taken out. So I think in George's case, it's like, do you want your brain taken out or do you want...
No, but by his comment, I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying like take the child brain torture out of it, right? Like he's like, oh, I'm not hungry anymore. Like I'm all good to go. It's like, but that's like, but you also had to get chopped in half to like get to that point. So it's literally Sophie's choice here, right? Do you want to like get half your body carved up to not be hungry anymore, or do you want to live on the streets? Just you're not the good guy in that situation, Raiden, even though it kind of seems like you are. So yeah.
Well, so Raiden, and so that's the thing, is that Raiden is not. I don't think Raiden thinks that he is. Like Raiden clearly is still very like Hawthorne Heights about the whole situation. He's very emo. And he's like, as he's driving, so it actually shows in the scene, he's driving and George asks him, he's like, so how come you didn't take me with you? And he's like, he gets mad at the doctor for telling him, but then he's also like, hey, sorry, like you just be in the way. And he goes, besides, you don't want to be a killer. And he's like, killing isn't fun in games and you need to remember that. And George is like, okay. He's all sad, and then he gets off. And when the call ends and Raiden actually ends up playing back in his head the same line that he said just before, where he's like laughing and then says, that's all I needed to hear. And then it also cuts to the audio from Jetstream Sam talking about how we're denying our weapon its true purpose and how it yearns and all that other stuff, right? And Raiden actually says to himself out loud, he goes, yeah, you just remember that. Like that he's like, I'm holding this thing back all the time. And at this moment, a police car pulls up to the side of Raiden's car and then just shoots him, and then yells, pull over.
I thought that was so funny. The order of that is just like, I'm going to shoot and then tell you to pull over. I'm like, what the fuck? Why? Just keep shooting.
Hey,
pop, pull over.
Almost like
order of operations have been twisted. You might want to flop those over.
Privatized military police
force.
Stop.
I don't know. We're talking about video games. Can we move on, please?
I mean,
it is in the video game. That's what they say.
Know.
It's a privatized military police
stuff.
force. I know, but I'm just saying, you're like the order of operations. Like, that is the order of operations.
It's not saying you can't say it. I'm saying like I don't want to hear it.
Just the order of operations.
Yeah, but so Boris calls us while Raiden is dodging these bullets. He's like dodging through traffic now, bad boy style, and he's trying to get out of there. And Boris is very upset because we have handed in our resignation. And so he's like, you have to at least talk to me. And Raiden's like, nope, it was way past time. I need to ditch all of you. Like, it's not. He's like, one, my hands were way too tied, but also I'm not going to sit back and watch these guys commit crimes that I know need to go punished, and I'm going to be the one to do it. And Boris is like, I understand what you're saying, like, I get it, but what they're doing is technically legal. Like, and so you can't, like, there's nothing that we can do. And he's like, well, being legal doesn't make it right. And he goes to, like, argue. They're arguing back and forth, basically. And as that's happening, Raiden basically says, hold that thought, and hangs up on him. Oh, before that, actually, he asks, Raiden is like, have you thought about your children? Like, or have you thought about Rose and your child? And he's like, first of all, Rose would totally understand why I'm doing this. So it's fine. And also I've moved them over. They're living in New Zealand right now. They're fine. They're taken care of and they're protected. But I love, though, that Raiden still admits in this moment that he didn't actually tell Rose what was happening. Mm-hmm. He just moved her and his son to New Zealand and was like, she would totally be on my side if I had told her what I was doing. But I didn't, so shut up. Like, it's just very funny that he's like, don't bring that up on, like, in this argument. But as he's doing this, he hangs up on him. And the police officers, as Raiden is heading towards a barricade, shoots a rocket launcher at his car, and it flips him over the barricade. Him and Blade Wolf get out, and he basically says that Blade Wolf says that he'll patrol ahead, and he leaves. And then the police captain, all these people run up, and they go, military cyborg, you are not licensed to operate in this area. You are in a violation of state and federal law. And Raiden goes, I guess you better arrest me then. And he prepares his sword. And the police captain is like, threatening a peace officer, deadly force is authorized. And as he does this, as he finishes that sentence, Raiden cuts off his arm. And from there, we start fighting. And we are making our way, basically, we're trying to make our way through to the HQ building for Marshall Security headquarters. And so about halfway through there, Boris calls, and he's arguing with us still, just being like, did you seriously, like, are you sure you don't want to reconsider? Like, do you really have to leave? And Raiden's like, look, I'm fed up with all of it. Companies like ours, yours bend the law when it suits business. Why not bend it when it can save innocent lives? And he's like, that VR training, they'll be warped into killing machines. They'll be set on POW civilians. It'll be one atrocity after another. And Boris is like, which is what, he's like what you went through. And Raiden's like, we can't have any more Jack the Rippers. You saw what happened with George. I'm doing this, Boris. I have to. I can't save those kids from becoming cyborgs, but I can stop them from becoming murderers. And Boris is like, so say you succeed. Say you get all the brains back. Then what? And Raiden's like, just so happens that I know great cyber cybernetic surgeon. And he goes, you can't change my mind, Boris. This is my fight now. And then that's when Boris basically says, well, officially Maverick Incorporated condemns you and your actions as unlawful. And the pain in the asshole increase, and he goes, and then you're a pain in the asshole. And he's like, increase your codec encryption and don't worry about the lag. So then he does it, and Ryan's like, and unofficially, and then Boris is like, unofficially, I'll do all that I can over the codec to help. I don't like what those pricks are doing any more than you do. And then says back in Russian, thank you, comrade, thank you. And then they hang up and they go their thing. So more or less, we're like, okay, we get to keep our whole team now. They're just going to talk to us over an encrypted channel that can't be traced back to them. And we're going to still have our people.
Unofficially not there. Unofficially.
Yes,
there.
Unofficially not there. And from there, we are making our way through this building, and we get to one of the elevators that comes through here. And Dr. Raiden, we say, "Hey, Doc, what's your status?" And he's like, "Hey, I'm currently right now. I'm trying to handle all these contractors that deal with the shipping of the brains, because he's going to fly a helicopter basically to pick all of them up and get them out of there. And Ryan basically say that I appreciate it. And then from there we continue. Although there's this weird line where at the end of it, after Ryan says that he appreciates it, the doctor is like, well, it's not every day that one has the chance to collect so many brains. Think of the data, the research. And he goes, oh, and of course your personal safety was a concern as well. That's also why I'm coming. And it was like, yeah, you're a freak. But then, so we basically are riding along these rooftops, like trying to get to this HQ center. And Blade Wolf is like, hey, you're not going to be able to go any further. They have this whole area locked down. You're going to have to take a freight railroad underground. And that elevator, like this elevator ahead will take you to it. So we get down there, make our way through the railroad, and then get out into basically what is the evacuated commercial district that this building is around. And Blade Wolf basically lets us know, like, hey, security is really heavy over here, but you won't need to worry about any collateral damage because the whole place has been evacuated. And Raiden is very excited about that. And then we make our way all the way to the headquarters, and we actually get so there's like, as we're waking our up the staircase towards these headquarters, there's like all these different like screens and shit that are like, you know, they're like billboards, basically like digital billboards that have been all over the place, and Jetstream Sam takes over all of them. And he's like, seriously now, Raiden, isn't this all a bit much? Any decent lunatic would have quit after Mexico. And he goes, I heard you chop the lab director in half. And he goes, old abbots die hard. And he goes, but here you are now, the child soldier fighting for the children. He goes, oh, but you're a man on a mission, aren't you? Gonna fix everything. Just you and your little sword there. Solve everything with violence. Is that it? And Raiden's like, my sword is a means to an end to protect those that you prey on. And Jetstream Sam is like, he goes, oh, really? So let me ask you, all those cyborgs that you've killed up to now, maybe they weren't kids, but they were people. He goes, like, you ever think about them when you're chopping them into hamburger? And Raiden is like, they're adults. They made their choice. Then Sam is like, sure, they're adults. Sure, they signed up for this right on the dotted line of their PMC contract. He's like, usually they're no strangers to war. In fact, many times they already lost a limb or two. Many times they were out of work, starving on the street. So yes, they sign up for surgery to fight God knows where. How else would you provide for your family when your country's embroiled in a civil war? Pain receptors shut down, pumped full of fear-inhibiting nanomachines, and sent right into the blender, your blender. He's like, but they made their choice, right? And he goes, open up your eye and see, Raiden. And Raiden's like, I see plenty, or I've seen plenty. Sam's like, well, then listen, those battlefield emotions that the nano suppress, listen to them. And then Raiden's like, what are you talking about? And as soon as that happens, a bunch of policemen show up and they start running towards Raiden. And it's at this time we get to hear like their inner thoughts, basically, that the nanomachines are suppressing. Basically being like, oh my god, I don't want to look at the way that he butchered the other people, blah, blah, blah. And Raiden's like, oh no, my head. But we still, you know, beat the shit out of them, specifically. And then from there, Blade Wolf shows up and he's like, Raiden, are you injured? And Raiden's like, I thought they had a choice, a fair choice, not like you. And then Blade Wolf is like, people are different. And Ryan's like, as opposed to AIs, you're all the same, huh? You and your brothers. And Blade Wolf is like, it appears my statement has upset you. I apologize. And he's like, Ryan's like, no, it's fine. I know you're right. He goes, but Sam's behavior does not match established parameters. And Raiden is like, you know him. And he basically says, yes, you know, we served on missions together. And he proved extremely capable during that time. But he's like, and I've always found him to be extremely dependable, but that doesn't seem to be the case now. Something's different. And he goes, anyway, here's all the scouting data. And he goes, I'm going to go patrol ahead. And then he leaves. And we actually, now we're making our way, like we can see the Marshall building off in the distance, but Raiden cannot fight right now. So his current emotional stress level is like makes it so that if we were to try to, like, we don't have access to basically any of our moves. Like, Raiden can, like, only slash sort of one way, and he's kind of stumbling forward, but that's really about it. As we get into the building, there's three. We can basically avoid all the fights in this section up until these last three soldiers that are sitting in front of the building, and you have to fight these guys, and it basically is just a time limit until your health gets all the way down to 0. And during this time, you're hearing more of the soldiers' thoughts about being tricked and how, they were told one thing, and then after they signed.
You don't have to wait for your health to get down to 0. So I was trying to fight him, and kind of like, I didn't die, but you can see Sam is slowly walking out from the building, and once he gets close enough to you, it'll cut to the cutscene.
Oh, okay. My health was just, I guess I just waited for him to walk up. But I
walked toward him and met him in an area, and it was just like, here you go.
Okay. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so as you walk up, Sam is saying, he goes, "I know, Jack, I know." And he goes, "So it's not so black and white now, is it? Is your cause just, or is that just what you tell yourself?" And Raiden goes, "Fuck you." And then we get introduced to a new character, who is Monsoon. And a rainstorm is following him, just right on the nose with the name here. But he is, like, his whole body is basically in all these tiny little slices that are, like, magnetically held together, basically.
Alex, do you remember the guy from Suicide Squad that Nathan played?
Nathan Fillion. Yes.
I forget what his character was, but essentially it's that his limbs and pieces just fall off, like come off him. He goes around hitting people with the pieces.
As soon as I saw it, that was the same thought. It's like, oh, it's Nathan Fillion from Suicide Squad. All right, yep.
That's crazy. I didn't see that movie, so I don't know, but
I'll send you.
Well, it's the same thing.
But yeah. In fairness, this game was way before Nathan Fillion's character,
and
so
it's
I
way
feel
cooler than what that character did.
I don't know. I don't know that it was before the actual comic character version.
Probably not.
I didn't take the time to look it up. I didn't care that much.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But as they're going through, so basically, Monsoon and Sam basically take turns arguing with Raiden here. And basically just trying to poke at him and push him and basically be like, you pretend to be all high and mighty and all this other stuff, but in reality, like, you're no different than any of us. Like, you've pretended like you have some higher purpose here, but at the end of the day, you are just Jack the Ripper, and that's all you're ever going to be, blah, blah, blah. And the entire time, Raiden, at the end of this back and forth, Raiden goes, "You're right about me. I mean, I knew something was off after the Patriots. I thought I could walk off the battlefield and into a normal life, but here I am surrounded by death, arguing philosophy with terrorists. And I told myself that this was about justice, about protecting the weak, but I was wrong." He goes, "I learned young that killing your enemies felt good, really good. In America, my friends, my family, they helped me forget the devil inside, but who am I kidding? I was born to kill. The bit about my sword, that means of justice stuff. I guess I just needed something to keep the Ripper in check when I was knee deep in bodies." And at this point, when he says that, Sam actually kind of like backs up a little bit, and he's like, "Oh," and Ryan's like, "But you and all of this is a wake up call to what I really believe and what I really am." And he goes, and I'm saying Jack is back, and then his eye turns red, and he stands up, and one of the soldiers runs through and like shoves the sword in him. And Raiden just starts laughing, and he tells the doctor to turn off his pain inhibitors. And the doctor is like, he's like, what? This is madness. And then he's like, "Do it." And so then he does it, and then he yanks the sword out, and then he murders the hell out of the guards that were standing around. And his whole body starts to glow red, and he's like pointing at Monsoon at first, and he goes, "Who's next?" And then he slowly points it over to Sam, and Sam is like, "Sure, I'll take this dance." Then Monsoon goes, "No, Sam, report back to the chief. He's mine." And Sam was like, "Okay, you're the boss." And then he leaves. And Raiden, so then Monsoon actually goes, "I've misjudged you, Raiden. You're like us after all." To which Raiden goes, "Now you're just being nasty." He goes, "That nickname that you love so much, He's like, why don't I give you a demonstration? I think it's time for Jack to let her rip. And then a speed metal song starts immediately. And we are in the final boss fight for this part here. And similar to all the other ones, there's tons of gimmicks that have to do with Monsoon here. So what I was saying is that earlier scene where Monsoon is giving you that whole speech of philosophy about, him and Sam are going back and forth, just picking on Raiden, basically. If you take the camera and you shove it, I think it's all the way over to the left, halfway through the speech, the cat shows up to one of the guards, and the guard like kneels down and starts like petting him and is like playing with him and stuff. And then as soon as he goes, I think it's like he goes to like touch the cat's like stomach or something like that to like pet it. The cat does a backflip over his hand and then leaves, like dodges the attack kind of thing. So there's a little Easter egg in there for that scene. But yeah, so then we get Monsoon's fight here. So Monsoon's gimmick, obviously, he has a bunch of psychokinetic control over a bunch of different stuff. And part of it is that when he's in his like Monsoon mode and he's like glowing purple or whatever, all of Raiden's slices basically go through him. And there's nothing that you can do about it, unless you get one of the electromagnetic, like the EMP grenades, basically, that drop from some of these bosses. Now, Preston, I know that you're getting upset. I can see it already.
No,
so
just listen, because it is really hard to throw one of those grenades at him when he's constantly moving. And I wasted all my grenades just trying to hit the fucker because I'm locked on. I'm trying to throw, but like sometimes it just throws behind him, or it doesn't. For some reason, my lock on is not working well with my grenades. So, like I had to do this the hard way and just parry.
I'll back you up. I'll back you up on this.
Grenade is not a great weapon to use.
It was not a great weapon to use.
Are you guys when are you throwing them?
So like I'm trying to wait for him to be
right.
I'm trying to wait. Well, purple, yes, but I'm trying to wait for him to like be like in a spot to where maybe he'll walk towards it, or maybe like he'll like be staying there for a second, because most of the time he's moving around quite an awful lot. So I wait and try to find a time that he like stops for a minute to do like an attack, or like when he does like he's got the scythe, so he does like the long arm scythe thing. Like you're supposed to be blocking there, and like I didn't have a lot of time to do that, and I ran out of grenades by the time those scythes came out. But even so, like he just seemed to evade those and other enemies later on.
So the way that you're supposed to do it is when you start trying to attack him when he's in that mode, he separates, right? Like he starts to spread apart so that you can't hit him, and it takes him a little bit to come back in. So you get some attack in so that he's all floaty, and then you just toss it at his feet, and then it explodes, and then he falls over, and you go and attack his head. But for anybody, what I was going to say was, because the codec functions the same way as it does in any of these other games, if you're trying to look for hints for things like that, you can still use the codec and get those things.
And they told me the grenade, and then I lost all my grenades and didn't hit him.
So, you'll get more grenades by when he does the move where he like throws the like the
that's where you get that, and that's
things.
where you get the. But I was already kicking his ass at that point, and I just like fuck these grenades. I'm not hitting with the grenades; they're just making me open for attacks. I'm like, I'm just gonna go ahead and parry the fuck out of him.
Yeah, which it's also an option, especially when he's in his regular form. But yeah, so you do those parries, you go back and forth, and then he sends one of the final moves that he does is he creates like a giant like rotating saw blade, basically, of like junk that he's like smashed together like Psycho Man style, and he throws it at you. You can parry it, and then the last part of it, you can just run to the side and dodge it if you want. Yeah, which is fine. You can do that too. But you can parry it, and it will send it back at him, and then he will get smacked up by it, and you can do some extra damage. And at the end, similar to all the other bosses, as soon as you get him to the final point in his health, you get a cool scene back and forth with him at the final fight there, and then you do the choppy and chop him up. And Monsoon, at the end, he goes, he says, kill or be killed, and then Raiden goes, don't be ashamed. It's only nature running its course, and he's like, your memes end here. And Monsoon goes, no, I passed one to you. Sure as the sun will rise, the slaughter will continue. Now I return to the earth. Wind blows, rain falls, the strong prey on the weak, all as it should be. And then he dies. And the red LED turns off on Raiden's exoskeleton, basically. Kevin's like, Raiden? And he's like, I'm fine, Kevin, relax, I'll get the brains. And he goes, I don't want this for anybody else. And then he hangs up. And from there, bolt of lightning hits, like crashes behind the scene, and we walk into the World Marshal building, and that is the start of mission 4. And that's where we paused. So yeah, like I said, obviously this next piece will just be us finishing it. So we'll be playing missions 4 through 7. But how were you guys feeling about our first playthrough here?
Yeah, I like it. I don't know if I like it better than the other Metal Gear, some of the other Metal Gears that we played. So I'll be interested when we finish the story to see where it falls on my list. Just because you guys know me, like full-blown action games are not typically the genre I go to, and that is this. So I understand where it excels and what makes it good.
And you hate anime tropes. Yeah, like that doesn't happen in real life. He would never be able to step all the way through those rockets towards the. I was seeing those scenes. I'm like, Alex is gonna hate this. It's like Star Wars visions all over again. So that can't really happen.
No.
He has to. There's no way that he'd be able to if he brought that up as a criticism, because then he'd be like, "But anyway, Metal Gear Solid 3 is my favorite."
Yeah. Right. So no. So yeah, I don't know. Like I want to know what they do to land this story, because like there's so much of it where people are talking to Raiden, and like, they were just talking to Raiden in this last fight scene about like, or this last lead up to the fight scene where it's like, look, man, these people didn't really sign up for this. Like they did, but they had to sign up for this. Otherwise they couldn't survive. So like and
they're kind of implying like it's directly due to your actions helping Snake dismantle the Patriots and all this other stuff. Like you've helped created this situation that everybody, like, they're kind of like blaming him for it indirectly.
So it's like, you're not the righteous soldier that you think you are. So I'm gonna be interested to see, like, do they actually land the story, or is it just like, oh, that's part of it, but the hero overcomes, right? So we'll see. It's good so far. I've liked the boss fights. I've liked the characters. Other than names
all of the
are stupid, but
designs in this game.
Yeah,
the naming conventions are one.
The names are always stupid, so it's fine.
Yeah, the designs of these bosses though are some of my favorite in the series. Like I think Sam as a character looks so fucking cool versus like the Fear or whatever, where you're just like, oh, you're just dumber vamp. Like that's it. Like
I liked the girl that we fought so far, and I liked Tsunami that we fought so far.
Monsoon.
So for some reason, whenever Monsoon was said the first time, when his name was said the first time, I guess because of Just Stream Sam, like in my head, I heard Johnny Tsunami.
Yeah,
I did, and
that has
been stuck in my head the whole time. Right. So so it's good. It is good. Yeah, that's all I have to say right now. I need to see where the story goes.
Yeah.
Are you feeling good with the like? How's the I know action games aren't your thing, so it's
the combat's fine so far. Yeah, I do like the combat. I feel sometimes running through these levels, I'm like, this level's getting a little long of doing just the slashy slash. But the combat has been good so far. And
I saw both. When I talked about the parry and I talked about it being a flick, I saw you and Preston both go like, like that's why I'm getting hit by something. So I didn't know.
It took me a minute, but like. I push forward and press X for every time. Like I still hold it when I do that. I don't flick it and then like that.
So if you hold it, typically you'll get one, like that first one.
But I pull back for the next one and kind of do it each time.
Right.
But I find out halfway through this playthrough.
I like the variation of like I equipped the rocket as my quick shot, so like I can pull out a gun when I need to or shoot something, and then I equipped the staff as my second weapon, which I'm using a lot, right? Not just the sword. So I like that staff a lot. It actually kind of changed the way I was doing combat, the way I feel.
I'm mad I haven't messed with any of those until like at first I'm like, okay, I'll use a size, but yeah.
And you guys have both found, so in the weapons menu, right? Like you can hover over the high frequency blade and then hit X on it, like for to buy extra moves and damage boosts.
I've bought almost everything I can. I bought all the moves. I've been focused on all the moves first. I bought the old outfit for him. And then
for Raiden,
for Raiden, which is what he's wearing.
It's a great outfit. I always do the same thing.
I've done a little bit
of the Gray Fox outfit that I like.
I use the white one because it gives you a higher count of heals, so you get 10 heals to hold on to you. Because I noticed that because I was reading through the descriptions of some of those, and some of those just give you like, I think the red one gives you like more ammo capacity.
Yeah.
So if that's what you want, but I'm like, I was kind of losing out on heals.
It's like all the other Yeah, it's like all the other Metal Gear games where all the different costumes give
Yeah,
you little
do
bonuses
something,
for
yeah.
random things.
Yeah, it's good so far.
Yeah, I've been enjoying. I mean, I remember little. I played a lot of this action. I remember most of the action. I don't remember a lot of the story. So I'm enjoying it. I like how they're reusing a lot of enemies from Metal Gear 4. So you got like the little handball guys running around. You got the Raven,
geckos.
the Raven soldiers that you can take down. So and then there's some new ones like the quote unquote alligator in the sewers is actually just some big giant beefy type of
like the gorilla,
the gorilla ones, yeah. So it's I like some of those callbacks and stuff like that. You can definitely tell they're kind of just trying to hit the same vibes as a Metal Gear game. Obviously, it's a Metal Gear game, but as far as like you're getting the codec calls, it tells the codec. You're getting the little ending piece from somebody on the codec. Which this time it's from the people who are dying. I will say I do miss. I might be getting the name wrong. Drebin, right? The guy you buy stuff from. Drebin points, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to buy health.
Favorite character.
I just wanted. I want to buy health.
Yes.
I want to buy more rockets.
Yes.
I kind of miss that. I'm like, you can let me go into the shop to like buy like outfits and like upgrades and stuff, but I can't just buy like health items.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's kind of a bummer. But that's fine. I'm starting to use the white.
But you can't buy health items because you just like rip the spine out of the guy and get a full health.
But sometimes I want like the actual healing item to use because you get some big guys that are taking you down pretty heavily. Unless you get them down fast enough, you might not be. Some of us aren't as good at
I'm not judging. No, it's fine.
Alex.
It's fine. It's fine.
Judge me. And there's also a Easter egg that Kristen didn't mention. So in Metal Gear Solid style, sometimes you go into lockers. Sometimes lockers have a nice little pretty like bikini girl picture in there. These sometimes have it like on the walls. So I looked over and I kind of see this photo. I'm like, is that a naked chick like on the, like a window, like a poster on the window? And you go up to it like caution tape and stuff like that to hold the poster up. But there's a couple of those posters like lining like this whole like plaza area as you go through there. I'm just gonna stop by, taking a quick look.
But when you go by and stuff, so did you press the attack button?
I tried to attack one of them. Yeah, nothing happened.
Oh, okay. Oh, you must have missed. You must have not hit it in the right spot. So if you do it, the caution tape all disappears. And
that's what I was trying to do it for. Why didn't they do it for me? God damn it!
The caution tape goes away, and then Boris gets on the codec, and he's like, "Nice."
I'm in such a good pop-off point for me. I would love that.
We'll have to look for another one then.
I'm sure going to find the next one. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. I think you might have to do it in blade mode. I think if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay. I just did normal attacks on it. But yeah, things like that.
You might have to do it in blade mode.
Yeah, things like that were really nice. Again, soundtrack is phenomenal. And I was surprised about. I totally forgot about like quote unquote like stealth areas. Like the very last one was fairly easy to do.
Yeah. You can just whether you want to do stealth or not, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was able to get past the gorilla guys and everything like that. There, I think there was like only a couple of spots to where it was like right before you see the brains and everything from the kids. Like you're going down, there's a square area where like 4 or 5 dudes are walking around, and I'm like, I'm sitting there for a minute. I'm like, I don't know if there's any clear path to get into here to stealth kill all these guys. So I'm like, fuck it. I tried to stealth kill one, didn't work out. And then Kevin comes up like, hey man, I thought you were, trying to be stealthy for this one. I'm like, there's no way for me to do it here. I'm sorry. Like I've been sitting here watching paths. They're not ending up in a way that helps me get past there.
I accidentally messed up in the very beginning. There's like a line that I got from Kevin because I messed up. Or no, it was Boris, I think. Where you're supposed to try to get the right arm of somebody because it holds their key card details basically in their right hand. And I messed it up and I sliced his arm like in half so it couldn't be used. And Boris was like, Raiden, you why did you do that? Like you needed that. And he was like, whatever, just cut through the gate. And I was like, that's right. I am gonna do that.
That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, like that's some of the stuff I love in this game too, is like the destruction on this. I love those kind of things. So like slicing through cars, gates, doors, whatever, like you can see like objects out there. Some things are limited. Like there was one time to where like we're trying to face, I think there was like a ray or trying to sneak past them, but I saw his Ferris wheel. Now when I went into my like, little ninja mode, like my little bat vision, I saw that 2 of the struts on there were like blue. That means you can cut through. I'm like, I'm gonna wait for the ray to come by. I'm gonna try to cut the struts. I cut the struts and nothing happened. I'm like, fuck, come on, man. Like I thought the Ferris wheel would come down and hit him.
Because it's later. Yeah. So some of them is like some of them will. Sometimes it's, and they might have already been, but there's sometimes where or maybe it's a higher difficulty thing, but So they'll have enemies placed up on those things, and you can slice them to get those enemies to fall down.
Yeah, I did like a bridge at one point
for the ray, but yeah,
you see that on the Ferris wheel. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a cool little piece. I'm like, no, it didn't happen, so that's fine. But also, Alex, to your point, like now that I have played the Metal Gear games, I'm curious to see where this lines up in it, because obviously, you know, like, this is the one I played. It didn't have stealth, quote unquote, and I enjoyed it because it was an action game. But I'm more curious now to see when I finish this where it will stack up in my lineup of Metal Gear games, because
we'll do
some
at the
bangers.
end of this. I think
just put where you would put it.
Yeah. But also, I think at the end, because this will be the full, like, this is the final point in the Metal Gear timeline. Like, everything that happens here is the like where it leaves the world off, basically.
Oh sure.
So then I think at the end we'll do a full Metal Gear roundup, just how you guys felt about the franchise in as a whole, and all of the story and everything, and you know, we'll do that at the end of that next episode.
Cool. All right. Well, be sure to check in with us next week as we finish this game off. Then I'll let you know what we're going to be playing for my game. Don't forget to check in with Preston for Star Wars Sundays. And of course, we'll have new episodes for you next week. So thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. And with that, Preston, you know what to do.
Thank you for listening to another episode of The Testing Room. To catch up on past episodes or to check out the newest ones when they drop, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcast. If watching is more your thing, check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/@thetestingroom, or watch us live on twitch.tv/testingroomlive. To leave comments or ask questions, you can follow us on Instagram @testingroompod, leave a comment on YouTube, or send them in to testingroompod@gmail.com. See you next time.